Let me ask you something. Are you actually controlling MFA in your tenant? Or are you just hoping it's working? Because I see this all the time. Admin thinks MFA is on, but they don't really know how it's being enforced. And that's where things go wrong. A user gets prompted in one place, not in another, and admin turns something on, then tests it and nothing happens. Then the question becomes, did I do it wrong? Is MFA broken? Or why is Microsoft doing this? So in this video, I'll break it down simply. There are only three main ways to enforce MFA in Microsoft Entra, and they are Per-user MFA, security defaults, and conditional access policies. And by the end, you will know exactly what each one does, when to use it, and what you should avoid. Let's start with Per-user MFA. This is the old way of turning on MFA in Microsoft Entra. It still works, but Microsoft treats it as a legacy method now, and Microsoft recommends using security defaults or conditional access policies for modern deployments instead. And honestly, I understand why many admins still use it. Sometimes you just want something simple. You don't want to build a full conditional access policy yet. You just want to pick a user, turn MFA on, and move on. That's exactly what Per-user MFA was built for. First, let's enable Per-user MFA from the admin side. Go to the Microsoft Entra Admin Center, then go to Entra ID, Users, All Users. From there, open Per-user MFA, select the user you want to enable. In this lab, I'm enabling Per-user MFA for the user SAN test. Now click Enable MFA, then confirm it. As soon as you do that, the user's status on the right side changes from disabled to enabled, just like you can see in the video. That is the basic setup on the admin side, very simple. Now let's switch to the user side, because this is where many admins get confused. Go to the client PC or open a browser as that user. Then go to a normal Microsoft 365 sign-in page such as portal.office.com or outlook.office.com or any other Microsoft 365 sign-in page. Now enter your Microsoft 365 email address and the password. In this lab, I am entering my Microsoft 365 email address and the password, then click sign in. At this point, many admins expect Microsoft to immediately show a full MFA prompt, but this is not always the first thing that happens. If the user has just been enabled for Per-user MFA and has not completed MFA setup yet, Microsoft usually takes the user into a registration flow first. In simple terms, Microsoft is saying, before I can fully enforce MFA, this user needs to set up an MFA method first. And this is the key reason why people often think Per-user MFA is not working, when actually it is working exactly as designed. The user is usually asked to set up security info. This is the step where the user chooses an MFA method. Common options can include Microsoft Authenticator, SMS text message, or voice calls, as shown on the screen. The exact method available depends on what is allowed in your tenant's authentication method settings. If you want to choose a different method, click Set up a different way to sign in. That will show the other available MFA options. For this lab, I am choosing Microsoft Authenticator to set up Per-user MFA. Once you choose Microsoft Authenticator, you will see a screen asking you to install the Microsoft Authenticator app on your phone. After installing the app, click Next on the computer screen. If prompt, select Work or School account, then click Next. Now you will see a QR code on your computer screen. Open the Microsoft Authenticator app on your phone and scan the QR code. After scanning, click Next on the computer. Microsoft will then show a number on the computer screen. Enter the same number in the Microsoft Authenticator app on your phone to approve the sign-in request. Once that is done, the Authenticator app is successfully added. At this point, it becomes the user's default sign-in method. So, the real flow looks like this. Admin enables Per-user MFA in Entra Admin Center. User sign in on the client's device. Then Microsoft asks the user to register MFA. After that, the user set up an allowed method. The user completes the verification. Then enforcement becomes fully active for that account. That is the part many people miss. Enabling Per-user MFA in the portal is only the start. The user still has to complete registration before MFA is fully active. This is the part that really clears it up. Microsoft does not just switch Per-user MFA on like a simple light switch. It uses states. There are three states which are disabled, enabled, and enforced. Disabled state. This is simple. In this state, MFA is not being applied by per-user MFA. The user sign in normally. No per-user MFA enforcement is happening. Think of it like this. MFA is off for this user. The second state is enabled. This is where confusion starts. When you click enable MFA in the admin portal, the user moves into enable state. And this is the important part, enable does not mean full enforcement has already happened. What it really means is this user has been marked for per-user MFA, and on the next modern authentication sign-in, if the user has not already registered MFA method, Microsoft prompts them to register. Microsoft also notes that legacy authentication can continue until registration is complete. This is the pain point many admins hit. They enable per-user MFA and think, done, MFA is enforced. But the real flow is enable user in Entra portal, user sign in on the client browser or PC, Microsoft asks the user to register MFA, user set up a method like Authenticator, SMS or voice call, then user completes MFA, and then the account moves to enforced. So, if the user is still in enabled, it does not mean the feature is broken. It usually means the user is still in the registration state. Now the third state is enforced. After the user completes registration and successfully use MFA, Microsoft says the status usually changes automatically to enforced. This is the point where per-user MFA is really in place for that user. What enforce really means. Now MFA is properly active. From this point, on a new sign-in session, the user must complete MFA. But this is another place where people get confused. Enforce does not mean MFA every click. It does not mean MFA every page refresh. It does not mean MFA every single time the user touches Microsoft 365. MFA uses sessions and tokens, so if the session is still valid, the user might not be prompted again right away. But on a new sign-in session, MFA is required. So the simple explanation is, enabled means user still needs to complete MFA setup. Enforced means MFA is now required on a fresh sign-in. Why per-user MFA is considered legacy? Now here is a real problem with per-user MFA. You turn it on, but then you quickly realize you actually have no real control. Because per-user MFA is very basic, it does not let you say things like require MFA only for admins, require MFA only for Access Online, require MFA only outside the office, require stronger methods for privileged users, or use sign-in risks or device compliance as the part of decision. So in the plain English, per-user MFA is basically this user gets MFA, that's it. No smart targeting, no location logic, no app-by-app control, no real zero trust design, and that is why Microsoft considers it legacy. It's not wrong, it is just too limited for modern environments. That is why Microsoft recommends use security default for simple setups, use conditional access for real control, and avoid building new design on per-user MFA.